They didn't know what was going on. Okay. So we can close that. Close that. And there we go. Now we have it. Boom! Working Google Docs. Let's go. It's even got this thing going black, because before it had issues with this would be flashing white continuously. So maybe they fixed that glitch. I don't know. But here we go. This is Hybrid's story. Creation of the Sapphire Universe. In the beginning, there was nothing. No light, no darkness, no breath, no time. Then came the shattering. I'm like, do you guys want me to read it in, like, the epic voice? Usually I have the microphone closer to my face, so I don't know if it'll have the same, like, in a voice. Okay, I'm gonna do the voice, and you tell me if it has the same impact, because normally I'm, like, super close to the mic and, like, super quiet, but this is gonna be, like, a little bit harder to do, so I'll try and see if I can contain it. Okay. In the beginning, there was nothing. No light, no darkness, no breath, no time. Then came the shattering, what mortals call the Big Bang. Yet it was not stars or worlds that first awoke, but four beings of immeasurable majesty, equal in power, equal in purpose. They were the first flames, the pillars of existence. He sounds like Ansem from Kingdom Hearts. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. The Grand Celestial, Lord of Radiance, who bore the first light. The Void, Keeper of Silence, who gave shape to darkness. The Elusive Fairy, Weaver of Secrets, who carried wisdom between worlds. The Cosmic Rainbow, Giver of Life, who birthed breath and beauty. Together they wove the tapestry of reality. Each took their charge. The Grand Celestial kindled the sun, a blazing beacon of all things. The Void stretched the endless space, the silent halls where worlds would drift. The Elusive Fairies scattered the stars, guided fires in the dark. The Cosmic Rainbow set in motion planets, moons, and comets, and upon them, life. When her siblings beheld the spark of living beings, they marveled. Why do you breathe such frailty into our creation, they asked. And the Cosmic Rainbow answered, because the universe is empty without voices to sing in it. Her answer pleased them, and they I'm glad you get to read with your eyes. With your eyes not hurting, you mean? Her answers pleased them, and they proposed one more gift. They proposed a world not only of life, but of magic, where life could feel the essence of magic the most. the echo of the gods themselves. And thus Earth was formed, the source of magic that flowed through the universe, and a perfect spot for her to put her latest creation, humans, molded out of clay, and with her song, life sprung into them. Life sprung into the clay. The four rested, and the world turned. The rise of humans. In the dawn of the universe, when the cosmic rainbow painted the world and set the beasts upon the earth, she watched over the first humans, now known in the modern era as Homo sapiens, with awe and love. The goddess was so enamored with humanity that she sought to shape new forms of humanity. From clay and sea foam she birthed mermaids, keepers of tides. From bark and moonlight she shaped elves, guardians of the forests. From stone and ember she forged dwarves, craftsmen of the earth. From dew and gold she molded leprechauns, curators of joy and treasure. This is definitely fucking holy shit, dude. Love it, Ninja. Absolutely love it. It's so... And what's funny about it is it's doing like the sets of 3, which I do. Rather do 2 3 times or 3 2 times. And it's like 3, like for instance, like purity, hope, righteousness, right? When you describe something, you give like 3. Hello, D-Dot! Yo, welcome. You give sets of either 2 sets of 2 into a set of 3, or set of 3 into 2 sets of 2. And it's like a rhythm to the descriptors. How are you today, D-Naught, though? We are reading now the new officially revised lore of Ninja. And, because I was asking people to critique my story, whatchamacallit? I'm using my story voice. My horror story voice. I would say this is my, like, old voice. Like, you know, like that, like an old man kind of voice. Yet these creations were incomplete, fragile, instinctive, lacking will beyond survival. Moved by love, she sought to give them something greater, spirit. But her radiant essence alone could not shape such depth, so she turned to her 3 brothers. The Grand Celestial gave the light of purity, hope, and righteousness, that humans might dream of higher paths and yearn for justice. The Void gave the weight of fear, sorrow, and vengeance, that humans might know loss, learn caution, and be driven by resolve. The elusive fairy gave the gift of knowledge and learning, that humans might question, remember, and grow. And finally, the cosmic rainbow gave them heart, the wellspring of compassion, love, and the will to endure. From these four gifts together arose something the beasts could never possess. Humanity awakened consciousness, the power to reflect, to choose, to create. It was in this consciousness that set humans of all species apart. Fragile in body, limitless in potential. Consciousness was the seed of their greatness. In time, touched by divinity, it would bloom into magic. Thus, the cosmic rainbow and her brothers marked the humans as both blessed and burdened. For their consciousness would come great wonders and great sorrows that would ripple through the universe without end. The Age of Kin. In those distant millennia, Homo sapiens shared the world with their other human species, the marrows of the deep, the dwarves of the stone, the leprechauns of verdant vale, and the elves of the high canopy. Though their forms differed, their hearts beat as one. All were born of the same spark, the breath of mortal curiosity. The mermaids, called Murrows in ancient tongues, guided humankind's first sailors through the black waters, teaching them the rhythm of tides and the language of storms. To them, water was memory, every drop holding echoes of history. It was said that when the Murrow sang, she could make the sea recall the shape of continents long vanished beneath the waves. Humans learned compassion and rhythm from them, and poetry was born from their song. Fuck, dude, this is so good. Oh my god, Ninja, I'm so excited. It's like explaining every individual piece of humanity, all put into a box, checked off and given, as if those pieces of us are the reason why we're so different. Whoo! This shit is great. The dwarves, stocky and steadfast, dwelled in the bones of the world. From them mankind learned the virtue of craft, the art of giving form to faith. They taught that every intention should carry the name of its maker, and every wall should remember the hands that built it. The dwarves saw Homo sapiens as dreamers without anchor. The humans saw dwarves as anchors without dreams, and together they made civilization stable. The leprechauns, smallest and yet brightest of the kin, were alchemists and tricksters both. They could coax gold from mud, light from soot, and laughter from despair. They shared with early humans the concept of value. To the Shadow Realm you go, motherfucker! No one gives a shit about you, bitch! Get the fuck out of here!
Are you smoking?
What a little fucktard, no one cares about him. Go do that somewhere The leprechauns, smallest yet brightest of the kin, were alchemists and tricksters both. They could coax gold from mud, light from soot, and laughter from despair. They shared with early humans the concept of value, not in wealth, but in wonder. A man rich in curiosity, they said, is poorer in boredom. Their art of transformation laid the foundation for the earliest magics of transmutation and healing. And the elves, ageless watchers of dawn, taught the young species patience. Oh, him face, let him face his fears. Then stupid dubstep noises. Alright. Sounds like a good time. No fears. They moved through like drifting leaves, measuring lives in constellations, not years. To them, humans were like sparks, short-lived but dazzling. And to think they almost didn't get Utada Karu that time. Again, woo! Right over my head. Don't use names, bro. I don't know names. Names scare me, fish. Yet it was the elves who first called Homo sapiens brothers, for they saw in them a fire they themselves had long forgotten, the will to change. For an age the world knew harmony, not peace born of stillness but of song. 5 voices woven together, each completing the other. The twilight of mankind. When the world was young and the heavens had not yet turned their gaze in wrath, the children of the goddess lived in harmony. Though they differed in shape and nature, the many branches of humankind stood together beneath the same sun. The seas, forests, caves, and skies were filled with laughter, song, and craftsmanship. A fleeting golden age before the descent into ruin. As the ages turned, the blessings of consciousness bore fruit both bitter and sweet. Humanity pulled swiftly, cunning and unrelenting. Humanity multiplied swiftly, cunning and unrelenting. The elusive fairy grew troubled, calling upon his siblings. He said, "These races will overrun all creation. Their hunger has no end." The 3 gods conspired to cull humanity's numbers. They stirred hunger into the hearts of beasts, shaping predators to stalk mankind. Yet the humans endured, for wit and fire are weapons of their own. Frustrated at her brother's actions, the cosmic rainbow sought another way. From her sorrow she shaped the succubus, daughters of beauty and hunger, ever female, ever longing. She hoped they would temper humanity's numbers with desire instead of slaughter. But what she intended as balance became torment. These demons stole men, seeding only their own kind. No child born was ever half, only full demon. Thus mercy becomes cruelty, and the cosmic rainbow's grief deepened. The carnage was relentless, and in its wake the mermaids, elves, dwarves, and leprechauns were driven into extinction. I think you should say driven to near extinction, to emphasize that there might still be some out there somewhere. But yeah, their downfall was wrought by many forces. Mermaids' status extinct. Primary cause: the rise of the Kraken. The mermaids were the shepherds of the sea. They guided the tides and sang to the dolphins, teaching the early humans how to fish safely upon the waves. When storms came, it was the mermaids who calmed the humans with their songs, comforting them, telling them that everything will be all right with glistening smiles. Tales speak of mermaids who fell deep in love with a man of the Homo sapiens. Their union was a symbol of peace between the sea and land. Yet, when the Krakens, once gentle titans, were corrupted into predators by divine influence, they brought ruin to their kind. The mermaids fought to protect their beloved oceans and the fishermen they cherished. But one by one their voices were silenced beneath the waves. The seas mourned them ever since, their melodies now replaced by the roar of storms. Dwarves. Status extinct. Primary cause: the reign of the spiders. Ooh, I fucking love spiders! The dwarves were the craftsmen of the world, humble and proud. They carved bridges of wood and forged tools of stone and metal for all the races. They labored not for wealth or power, but for joy. To give their work was to share a piece of their soul, and no race ever went unhelped by dwarven hands. Yet their devotion to the earth proved their undoing. In their deep caverns, the giant net-casting spiders and the other species of spiders awakened. Beasts whose minds were warped by divine meddling. The dwarves fought valiantly, forging weapons of flame and light, but the tunnels became their graves. Even as they perished, They sang songs of unity, promising that as long as bridges stood and steel was shaped, the dwarves would never truly die. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. So good. This is so good, Ninja. Leprechauns. Status extinct. Primary cause. The wrath of the Thunderbirds. The leprechauns were the keepers of hearth and home. Small in stature, yet boundless in heart. They worked alongside elves and humans to fortify their dwellings. They wove gold and iron into rooftops, ensuring no storm or beast could breach them. Where leprechauns lived, warmth and laughter followed. But their love for shiny things, symbols of beauty and creation, drew the ire of the skies. The Thunderbirds, once majestic guardians of the clouds, were driven mad by divine corruption. They descended from the heavens, drawn by the gleam of metal. The leprechauns defended their homes with fire and wit, yet their courage could not stand against thunder and talon. Fucking ads. Get all up in here and you gotta do an ad. Goddamn fuck bullshit. Gonna just fucking yeah, that's what I think of fucking ads. I'll be right back. I need a drink. I am grabbing drink. I was out of water. My opinion. Agreed. Wait. Appreciate your consideration for other viewers getting affected by ads. Agreed. Liking the story so far? My opinion isn't relevant. Wait, where is citation? Went for a drink. Water? Nice. Stay hydrated. True. Both, actually. I was out of both water and chocolate milk. Chocolate milk to keep my throat smooth. Water to keep me hydrated. It's a 2-step program. Well, 3 steps, because you gotta be toking. So you ready, Queen? 3, 2, 1, go! I'm not exactly sure how long he made it. They descended from the heavens, drawn by the gleam of metal. The leprechauns defended their homes with fire and wit, yet their courage could not stand against thunder and talon. When the storms ended, only empty houses remained, their metal roofs glinting under the rain, a silent momentum to their generosity. And lastly, elves' status extinct. Primary cause, the War of the Betrayed. The elves were closest to the Homo sapiens, their kin in both heart and soul. Together, their tribes hunted, shared feasts, and celebrated beneath the moonlight. The elves brought wine from berries, while the humans brought laughter and song. They loved without boundaries, their unions a symbol of the world's unity. Yet when the Smilodons, feral beasts, reshaped by divine fury, ravaged the elven forests. Grief consumed them. They believed the humans had abandoned them, and war followed where love once dwelled. The battles were fierce, lasting seasons until the elves were no more. When the last elven warrior fell, the humans wept. They buried their former friends with reverence, building shrines in the ruins of their forests. They understood the truth too late. The elves had never been their enemies, only victims of despair. There were many factors to their extinction, from ruthless competition among tribes, endless wars, the shifting wrath of climate, and above all the unceasing hunt of mystical beasts unleashed upon them. One by one, the branches of humanity withered and fell until only a single kind endured. Thus did Homo sapiens, the last of their kind, remain as the sole human race to walk the earth. As long as it needs to be, so get comfortable. True fish. You used to play back in the day, but now you're grown like Rudy Huxtable? No idea, fish. The only thing the Homo sapiens have left to remember them were memories they'll cherish. Visuals on memories coming soon to a theater near you. And soon mankind endured. The gift. Yeah, weren't you supposed to have pictures for this, bro? What is this? This is bullshit. You're ripping me off. Ninja, you get me all fucking hyped up for all these epic images. You're like, oh, I'm not going to drop it until I get the images. And then I totally forgot about the images. And then I was going to be like, oh shit, I get surprised by the images. But no. Yeah, I wouldn't buy anything. Especially not at this stage. So I decided I want to send you what I've been cooking. Yeah. The gift of magic. At last, moved by sorrow. But by all means, the only thing missing are the visuals. Yeah. And last, moved by sorrow, the cosmic rainbow vowed to set it the scales right. If beasts bore tooth and claw, if demons bore hunger, then so too would her children bear a weapon of their own. Thus she gifted the last species of humanity with magic. The first to awaken was a farm boy, powerless and desperate, who begged for his father's life as Succubus dragged him into the dark. His rage ignited his hands with fire, and with a single cry, "Let my father go," he struck the monster aside. From that day, the remaining species of humans too bore the touch of divinity. Not all, but enough. And with their new strength they waged war against the succubi and all beasts who hunted them. The struggle lasted centuries, until at last mankind carved its place upon the land. Once they carved their place upon the land, the spark of the cosmic rainbow's gifts coursed through their veins, igniting their fragile bodies with boundless potential. No longer prey, Homo sapiens rose from the fear into fury. They turned their newfound magic upon the world that once devoured them. The first to fall were the krakens, whose tentacles once dragged ships and merfolk alike into the abyss. Empowered by divine flame, men split the seas and burned the oceans themselves to slay them. Thus krakens perished. In the northern jungles, giant spiders, devourers of dwarves, hunted to near extinction. Human fire mages stormed their silken caverns, reducing entire colonies to ash. The dwarves who had forged songs beneath those webs were already gone. The spiders of the cave incinerated, their hulls silenced, yet humanity avenged what could no longer be saved. Frost storm-wrecked skies, the thunderbirds screamed. And they had hunted leprechauns for generations, scattering their rainbows and devouring their gold-lined sanctuaries. When humans gained domination over lightning, they answered storm with storm, striking down the thunderbirds in their own heavens. For weeks the world knew no daylight, only the red flicker of burning skies. And in the frozen plains, and the last of the Smilodons roared their defiance. Predators of both elf and man, they once ruled the tundra, until mankind descended upon them like an army of suns. Ice cracked, blood boiled, and the beasts that once haunted every dream of man became nothing more than stories whispered in fear of the dark. Jesus, Scoozy. You cooked on this, fucking ninja. You goddamn fucking cooked on this. When the dust settled, the 5 beasts that tormented their human species were no longer certain to them. Oh, thank you, thank you. No worries, brother. You deserve it, man. This is fucking holy shit. This is what editing gets you guys. This is the direction editing will take your story. True, Sean. Welcome, welcome. How's it going, good sir? When the dust settled, the 5 beasts that tormented their other human species were no longer a concern to them. You're reading like the narrator from Ninja Gaiden. Well, that's kind of the idea, Fish. Is that's like my old man narrator voice. And this is like the origin story of the universe, so I figured it deserved the old man voice. The elves, the mermaids, the dwarves, and the leprechauns have been avenged, and in their place mankind stood alone, triumphant. Yensid tier narration. I would have tried original Dumbledore myself. Can I just say this? Your choice of background music is sick. Thanks. Triumphant. Those who bore magic were christened the Gifted. The birth of the 3 classes. Yet balance was not yet found. Ages passed, and the 3 gods turned their gaze once more upon the world their sister had shaped. What they beheld filled them with both pride and unease. The gifted humans had ascended far beyond expectation, bending flame to their will, creating wonders, all in the name of the cosmic rainbow. That high-pitched, whispery, breathy voice of the original Dumbledore was so soothing, yet it made you pay attention whenever he spoke. Yeah. True, Sean. It's the voice that commands, that's the kind of, like, voice, but on the opposite spectrum of, like, Bruce Bolton in, like, Game of Thrones. Like, he only ever really talks in a whisper, but it's like whenever he talks, everyone shuts the fuck up, because he rarely ever talks, and when he says something, you listen. The grand celestial, ever solemn and contemplative, watched the rise of cities and gleamed like fragments of his own heavens. His heart swelled with paternal pride, yet beneath that radiance stirred a quiet jealousy. And it started with a whisper. The void, cold and measured, regarded them with piercing disdain and fascination alike. To him, mortals had become too bold, builders who toyed with forces they scarcely understood. And yet he too could not deny the artistry of their ambition, the reflection of their own precision in their mortal hands. The elusive fairy, whimsical yet deeply sentimental, laughed softly, for he knew what he himself, along with his 2 brothers, were feeling deep down, a desire to have their names honored and people worshipping them just as they worship the cosmic rainbow. The elusive fairy turned to his siblings and spoke, Let us share with them our essence, that they may not only bear our image, but honor our legacy, just as they have done for our sister. Aw, man, why'd you have to go and ruin it? Fuck! I'm not talking about I'm not talking about your right. I'm like, this is a positive thing, Ninja. You know what I mean? It's like, well, they're clearly going to instigate things that are going to cause friction that's going to destroy unity. Right? Why you gotta go and do that? Huh? They're gonna bring in religion and everything, and then it's gonna be conflicts of theology. I'm inferring what you're gonna do in the timeline, Ninja, because if the gods interfere, it's gonna go from unity of worshipping one god to the fragment of worshipping many gods, leading to wars and troubles and just all around bad stuff happening. So it's like, I'm saying that to the gods, like, oh gods, why are you guys gonna interfere and you guys are gonna ruin everything. Why didn't you just stay asleep? You're talking to the characters. Yeah. No, that's why I was like, it had nothing to do with the story or you. It was just like an inference of like what's gonna happen. Like me in my mind being like, no! This is the turning point and they're gonna fuck everything up! These motherfuckers, no! which is good. That's the reaction like you want to get from someone, right? That's why I said it's good. It's a good thing. Go and tell an N no with an ass so fat. Why you want to go and do that, love, huh? I don't know, Fish. You're a lyrical man. Not my forte. I don't remember the lyrics unless the song is playing, and then I know the lyrics if I know the lyrics. And the grand celestial and the void agreed, and yet 3 new paths of power took root, and so 3 new paths of power took root among mankind. Each of them represents the 3 gods. The Grand Celestial. Scotty, it's time for my question. Okay, what's your question, Fish? What's up? The Grand Celestial Dawn Keepers. The priestesses, daughters of light, healers and keepers of radiance, voices of faith and wielders of sacred flame. The zealots, sons of devotion, holy warriors who burn with the same light their faith forged into combat that banish darkness. The void, dustborn. The witches, mistresses of shadow, creator of dreams and whisperers of the unseen, weaving enchantments of charm and ruin. The acolytes, sons of the coven, tricksters and protectors both, who blend cunning with loyalty, wielding shadow as both shroud and shield. The elusive fairy, starbinders, the sages, seekers of wisdom and cosmic rhythm, those who mapped the stars and penned the laws of magic and motion. The stargazers, sons of wonder, astral warriors who channel the constellations into their strikes, turning starlight into song and movement into art. And thus harmony was restored, and the 3 gods' pride were enamored by the sight of mortals worshipping them. Someone drives to the home of someone they hate. They fire off rounds into the living room window randomly, then peel off. They're found a week later and arrested, tried, found guilty with video evidence of murder in the first. The victim, however, wasn't home at the time. They were overseas and thus never in real danger. Is it fair to the assailant to receive murder charges? Yes, Fish, because it's the intent. You intended to murder someone? I'm gonna treat it as if you did. Yeah. Reckless endangerment. You're not a cop. You don't need to go in to raid the wrong house and kill a bunch of innocent people. I think intent is the most important thing. Everything else matters, but like, of everything, intent matters the most. That's what the difference between manslaughter, self-defense, first, second, and third degree. They're all separated by intent, even though at the end of the day, all of them are, at the end of the day, your actions cause someone to die. Right? That is why intent is so important. So if you did something like that, you are intending to kill someone. Now this is an interesting thing, Fish. What do you think about firing shots randomly into the air? Do you think you should be charged for manslaughter because of that? Because the intent may not have been to kill someone, but the action without the thought of intent could cause someone to die. So thus it would be manslaughter, not murder. I think the person should still get arrested. Did I just walk into Ace Attorney game? Because without giving context, I didn't grow up in an environment or culture where people do that, but I've heard doing that is dangerous. Just sounds like reckless use of the guns to shoot it to the air. Yeah, I agree, Ninja. Because here's the thing. You should just never discharge a weapon unless the intent is to actually shoot someone. There should never be such thing as a warning shot. A warning shot should be considered a kill shot that you missed. That's my opinion. But, yeah, that's pure opinion, right? Because of the fact that the bullet could come down and hit someone, and if you were, it's neglect. It's either, on one hand, it's extreme neglect, and on the other hand, it's reckless endangerment. So I definitely think the person should get arrested. Charged with manslaughter? Yes. I think that's extreme, but that's what I think. Because the consequences have to be harsh enough. Alright, well, let's find out. Let's find out. Despite it, let's still find out. I'm just gonna say we're a gun. Let's find out. Oh god, it's Grok from World War II. We do proof over here in my hood. If there's a single case for it in history, then that's a precedent, right? meant to say if somebody died, it's both charges, since the death was of an innocent, untargeted person. Nobody died. It's still attempted murder. Okay, yeah, I could see that, Sean. Attempted murder versus... I will compromise with you, Sean. That is a better way of doing it. It's attempted murder, but not... And then it would be manslaughter on top if... Yeah. I tell them anywhere, everywhere, murder. What is really good? Mama hood. Let's see what we're getting here. We're getting ads in a second here anyways. That sentence is indecipherable. I'm pretty sure it's lyrics. Yes, there have been documented cases where warning shots fired into the air by law enforcement have resulted in the injury or death of uninvolved third parties due to falling bullets striking bystanders. One example occurred in Foshan, Guangdong Province, China, on or around June 8, 2016, during a street confrontation involving a knife fight between tenants and property management staff over rent disputes. A responding police officer fired 2 warning shots into the air to attempt to control the situation. One of the bullets struck and killed an unnamed male bystander who was looking out the window of his 4th floor apartment to observe. Okay, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. He fired up and it hit someone in the air. That's not the bullet coming back down. But hey, if you fire in the middle of a city up, I'm talking about a rural area, right? So that's actually different. That's actually different. Okay, we're gonna do something, guys. I hate ads too, okay? I'm gonna make sure I don't hit the mic. You guys ready for this shit? Just gonna make sure I don't hit the mic. Okay. Guys, I'm turning time, okay? Eventually, we'll get to a time period where there's no ads. We just have to keep trying and keep going. And eventually, there'll be a world where there's no ads. I believe! I believe! I believe in you, 'cause you have the power. You've had it all along, so now you know what to do. Go and be that strong. I believe in you. Now go kill for me, 'cause I'm jealous of you. I mean, what? Back from ads. No! Okay. Okay, so let's end Chronicles and Tales. Me versus the world plus God plus cosmic laws plus future and the past and time. Fascists, criminals plus corruption. Say what? Bo. Say what? Say what? How's it going, Chronicles? Been a while, buddy. How are you, good sir? Welcome, welcome. We are discussing the chances of you firing a bullet into the air and it be coming down and killing someone if there's a precedent for that, to see if you should be charged with attempted murder for it. Imagine having ads. Imagine for me versus you now plus your chat. All in what, Chronicle? Who can write the fastest, best story? I'll win that right now. I'll write a smoky story for you.
I sank in my bed. It was cold. I watched TV. The sun came up. I went to bed. Finn.
Also, the Hyper's story is almost as long as Lord of the Rings. Well, it's like I'm reading it really slow too, because I'm reading it in the voice, and the voice is like a slow speaking old man, kind of, you know, set back, reserved, just kind of doing his thing, right? So, anyways, discovered red lives, but 3 hours later, officer involved was suspected. Places is reported as second such incident. That's all it could find. So I guess we can say at this point there isn't really a president. You slow tangents? No.
Like
Couldn't sleep. I rubbed one out. I slept like a baby. You forgot the fin, Sean. You forgot the fin. The fin is what makes it. The rise of the three factions. From the divine breath of the three classes arose the three great factions, each founded to honor the gods who had bestowed their sacred gifts upon humankind. Bro has a word length that would make Tolkien blush. I was sleeping! It's true, Sean. Sleeping is a good thing, though. By destiny's strange symmetry, the founders of each faction were husband and wife, partners in both faith and flame, mirroring the union they once had with elves. Their teachers would shape the world for centuries to come. The Radiant Concord, followers of the Grand Celestial. The Radiant Concord believed that purity of heart was the truest form of worship. To them, light was not merely illumination, but absolution. They sought to burn away sin, ignorance, and shadow from the soul, believing that every life touched by the celestial flame was sanctified. Their temples were carved from marble and gold, cities of gleaming spires that seemed to pierce the clouds themselves. Processions of priestesses and zealots walked streets bathed in holy radiance, chanting hymns said to make the air shimmer. That girl is a real crowd pleaser. Oh yeah, small world. All of her friends know me. They know me. This is literally something out of Final Fantasy, or would sound like it. Hell yeah. And it's just an origin story for the universe. Processions of priestesses and zealots walked streets bathed in holy radiance, chanting hymns said to make the air shimmer, meaning concord, means the unity and harmony. Radiant refers to their divine light. Symbol, a golden cross over a shining sun. The Umbral Covenant, followers of the void, where the Concord found solace in light, the Covenant found truth in shadow. They believed darkness was not corruption, but the veil beneath which true wisdom hid. Pain, loss, and grief were not curses, but teachers. Young boy living like an old geezer. Quick, release the cash. Watch it fall slowly. Are these just lyrics, Fish? I don't know any of these songs, man. Not that I'm complaining. It's a cipher. Huh. They built sanctuaries beneath hollowed mountains and in the depths of endless forests where candles burned blue and prayers were whispered to the unseen. The Covenant taught that balance was only found when one embraced what the world feared most, meaning umbral, means of the shadow. Covenant implies sacred pact or shared secrecy. Symbol, the crescent moon eclipsing a black sun. The astral dominion, followers of the elusive fairy. The Dominion gazed not upon heavens nor shadows, but beyond them. To them knowledge was divine, curiosity sacred, and the cosmos itself a scripture written in starlight. They studied the heavens, the flow of mana, and the structure of creation. The Dominion scholars were the first to map constellations, invent timekeeping devices, and master the art of dream divination. To them, gods were not unreachable beings, but partners in discovery. Meaning astral. For the stars and constellations, dominion. For their master of knowledge and cosmic power. Symbol. A 7-pointed star encircled by glowing orbs. Thus was born the era of factions, and with it, the first glimmer of the Sapphire universe. So, do you want to consider that like chapter 1, or do you just want me to read the whole thing? Because then we can split it into like multiple days. Read the whole thing? It's a lot of words, bro. That's a lot of words. But okay. Because this feels like, that feels like its own story. Now it feels like we're going into like a new story. Like we've done the origin, and now it's like, you know, now we're gonna do all the tales of history, right? That lead up to like the timeline. Okay. The Tale of Rowena and Silthia. Tales that shaped the modern era. Yeah. Does read similar to the Silmarillion. I think you mean the Silmarillion. When the magic still shimmered like dew upon the grass, there lived two women whose meeting would shape eternity. Rowena of the Emerald Vale and Silthia of the Radiant Choir. They met not as enemies, but as wanderers. Rowena had strayed too close to the holy springs of the priestesses, curious to see how light looked when it touched the world. Silthia found her there, a trespasser cloaked in night, drinking from sacred waters that should have burned her flesh. But instead of pain, there was laughter. The water glowed, and so did Rowena, dimly, stubbornly, like a candle, refusing to be snuffed out. "You should be screaming," Silthia whispered. "You should be praying. Rowena replied. But here we are. They became each other's mirror. Where Cynthia spoke in hymns, Rowena answered in riddles. Where one healed, the other taught how to endure. At night they watched the same stars, Rowena chanting their fall, Cynthia naming their rise. They argued constantly, laughed often, and in quiet moments forgot which side of the world they were meant to serve. When the zealots marched, Cynthia hid Rowena within temple ruins, cloaking her in robes of light and calling her my precious shadow. For years they lived between prayer and secrecy, a fragile peace woven from stolen dawns. It was at this moment where the two fell in love, and yet even love cannot hide forever. The War of Shadow and Radiance, when their relationship was revealed by a walking priestess. Rowena was seized by the priestess's light, dragged through temples of ivory and flame, bound in chains of light. She was accused of seducing a daughter of the light and corrupting her soul. But Rowena did not go quietly. Even in chains, the witch of the Umbral Grove fought like a storm. When the light burned her flesh, she turned her pain into power. Shadows coiled from her blood, striking down their captors. Flames of dark mana clashed with radiant halos as priestesses fell to her wrath. For every light bearer that rose against her, two more were swallowed by her defiance. Then came Seraphian, a zealot whose faith was carved into his very bones. His presence silenced the screams. His voice, calm and low, carried more weight than the temple's bells. You cannot fight salvation, witch. Light bends for none. With a single motion, the Seraphian casts a circle of light across the marble floor. Golden chains erupted, wrapping around Rowena's limbs, piercing her aura until her mana waned like glass. Even then, Rowena grinned through bloodied lips. If your light fears the dark, perhaps it was never pure. Cynthia trembled before the council of zealots, was commanded to strike the killing blow, not as mercy, but as proof of loyalty. But Cynthia refused. Her hands shook, but her voice trembled with fury rather than fear. You ask me to kill someone dear to me and call it faith. The chamber erupted in outrage. The priestesses surrounded her, chanting hymns of purification. Cynthia's eyes glowed like dying suns. With a cry, she unleashed a blast of light, not to kill, but to drive them back. The shockwave shattered the temple glass, sending radiant shards raining down like tears of heaven. She charged through the light bearers, striking with precision. Every hit meaning to disable, never to end. Her heart still moved to the light, even as it broke beneath its command. Then Seraphian stepped forward, sighing as he removed his mantle. Even the kindest flame can burn the world, child. Cynthia struck first, her fist a comet of divine radiance, but the zealot caught it mid-swing. His grip was unyielding, his aura absolute. A blinding surge of sanctified energy erupted, and Cynthia's knees buckled. "Your light is strong," he said, "but your faith is fractured." She fell unconscious, cradled in the same brilliance she had once called holy. Cynthia regains her consciousness only to be greeted by Seraphian and the Council of Zealots. With Rowena bound in chains, the Zealot's voice thundered. "The light has no need for divided hearts." With a cry that split the dawn, Cynthia finally obeyed. She formed her hand into a sharp, radiant light, and pierced Rowena's heart. The witch's last breath was not a curse, but a whisper. "Do not let them define your light." Her body was returned to the umbral covenant, burned by sanctified touch, and the ashes placed in a chalice of nightstone. And so grief became fury, and followers of the void and the light branded each other heretics. Every priestess and zealot bore a halo became a target. Every witch and acolyte who cast a shadow an enemy. Temples fell, forests burned for days, ignited by holy fire. What's up, fish? Can you say, "I've been waiting for you"? I've been waiting. Hold on, wait. I've been waiting for you, friends. It has better effect when I'm closer to the microphone, right? But I like the audience feeling of being like in an auditorium sounding. I don't know, that's just me. For just like the stream in general. But yeah, the voice definitely hits a lot harder when you're closer to the mic and you have that heaviness to it, right? Temples fell, forests burned for days, ignited by holy fire. Cities drowned in plagues, conjured by vengeful spellcraft. Rivers ran red with mingled blood, and the very sky dimmed beneath clouds of ash and lightning. The zealots of light marched beneath banners of radiant suns, singing hymns that drowned out the screams of their victims. The acolytes of shadow retaliated with storms of cinders and nightmares that stalked soldiers in their sleep. Even beasts once loyal to the gods were driven mad from the war, turning upon their own kind. Holy cities were reduced to ash by black flame. Towers of light crumbled beneath storms of void fire. Priestesses and witches unleashed torrents of magic that split mountains and turned seas into mist, slashing apart both the zealots and acolytes around them. The war raged on. Zealots tore witches apart with their bare hands, ripping their hearts out to offer them the grand celestial. Acolytes answered in kind, summoning blades of void light that shredded priestesses apart, ripping their livers and offering it to the void. Amid this endless storm, one battle would become legend. Seraphian, saint of the first temple, marched upon the city of Umbrath. There he met Valen, an acolyte known as the Dark Void in Mourning, a man who once raised and trained Rowena to hone her powers. Their clash silenced the war for 3 days. Seraphian, a zealot whose light radiant enough to blind armies, was approached by Valen, whose rose... Does it say who? Or whom? I don't know. Who arose from the black sands below, his aura a shroud of shadowed flame that devoured the light around him. When their eyes met, both saw reflections of what faith had stolen. The first strike knocked back both armies of light and dark. Yo, country girl, what's up? Welcome, welcome. How are you today, country girl? We are reading Hybrid Story in a very, what I like to call my old man narrator voice. The impact is somewhat lost, but, you know, it has the same feeling to it, right? It's just not quite the same. When their eyes met, both saw reflections of what fate had stolen. The first strike knocked back both armies of light and dark. Seraphians cast a light of holy fury, each swing leaving after images of burning wings. Valen countered with void light, his movements silent, his strikes precise, as though death itself guided his hands. In possession of a very annoying cold I would love to get rid of before my vacation on Sunday. Oh my god, I hate colds. Ugh, don't get me sick, country girl. Ah, no, I'm just kidding. I probably got you sick. You would never know it. I mean, what? Huh? What? Yup. Cap? Cool. Valen. Oh, we already read that. They fought through temples and graveyards, through storms rained... Don't know if that's supposed to have another comma there. Through storms rained blood. Each believed his conviction unbreakable. Each was wrong. Seraphian's light burned so bright it began to consume him, turning his veins into molten gold. Valen's void tore open his body. Shadow spilled from his wounds like ink from a broken sky. V8 Splash, I'm telling ya, it's like supplying your army with arrows for the fight. 100% of your daily vitamin C requirements in 8 fluid ounces. Nice, Sean. Hell yeah. Don't know if there's a line, but I got chapter 7 posted. Hell yeah, country girl. Depends on who's here when we finish this story. So far, it's like, pretty much the order is Ninja, then TLBG, then Not, then Sean, then you. Long lineup. I will be there to read your story. I know one thing for certain. That is true. When both were reduced to will alone, they struck their final blows. Seraphian's light pierced Valen's chest, and yet the Acolyte's void light crossed through the Zealot's head. The heavens roared, both fell, but only one rose again. Fuck! Thank you for telling me. In that case, the NyQuil may have kicked in by the time you get to me. That's okay, country girl. We'll get to you next time. You know? At the moment, as far as I know, this is all that Hybrid has for a story. It's just the origin. And then TLBG just has chapter 1 and chapter 2. Not is up to chapter 17, and Sean is like every day a new chapter, every day we read a chapter. Or try to. Always try to. Ad might be done for you. It don't say ad is done for me. Still says there's 20 seconds left on the ad. Anyone still in ads? Like how your stream informs others, informs others of an upcoming ad. I'm back from ads, yay! Unlike most streamers. Yeah. And like the controversy where Queso was calling out the guy in his chat because he pauses his stream for ads. It's like you're playing Marvel Rivals, you're playing a competitive game, you know. Sometimes I don't pause the lecture during the ads. No one said anything. You guys want me to, I will. I just, you know. It is what it is, right? Maybe something that's really, really long form that doesn't really matter if you miss a minute and a half. But still, if you guys want me to, I will. I'm just never paying attention by that point in the stream because it's like 7 hours into the stream and I'm just tired as fuck. But that's what I signed up for. That's what I'm here for. Power through it, get through it, no worries, it's all good, and we move on, right? The heavens roared. Both fell, but only one rose again. Valen, bloodied and half-blind, looked down at Seraphian's dying form. The Zealot's light flickered like a candle in the wind. And with that, Seraphian's light dimmed, not extinguished, but freed. The war did not end that day. If anything, it grew worse. The death of saints and martyrs became fuel for vengeance. Cities became bones, rivers turned to blood, and the air became dense with mana. Funnily enough, when you said the lore is my only story so far, that's actually not anymore true. By the time I sent you my lore, I already worked on the small spin-off of the lore and made 5 chapters of The Boy Who Cried Succubus. Well, there you go, Ninja! Hell yeah! Surprise me you have. Because I wanted it to be true, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Because I know at least you were working on chapter 1 of The Boy Who Cried Succubus. Because you had already said that. But I wasn't sure of how far you had gotten. And then you said that you had like 5 chapters, but you still needed to edit them or something like that. I think I remember that. Next Sapphire Universe story I will send will be the spin-off and the prologue of The Boy Who Cried Succubus. But just a reminder, the prologue and the rest of the chapters are script form, as they are meant to be turned to webcomic. Yeah, no worries. Makes sense, Ninja. Like I said, it's kind of the same thing for Beezus' story. It was presented in screenwrite format. So the format doesn't really matter. Right? Whether it's a screenplay or a webcomic or something like that, right? It really doesn't matter. It's art, and I will read it if you want me to. If it's possible. And if it's like a picture or something like that, then just show it off, and I'll show it off if you want me to. Like your book cover or whatever. Concept art. Then came the final day. The warriors of light prepared their radiance. The followers of shadow drew their void light. But as dawn approached, the horizon stayed black. Both armies struck one another, decimating everything around them. No sun rose. No birds sang. The world simply waited, held between darkness and light, between guilt and silence. It was said that even the sun refused to rise upon such a world. When at last the silence returned, only ruins and ghosts remained. The historians of the modern age would call it the War of Shadow and Radiance. A war that began with love and ended with the world learning how easily love can be murdered. In the name of light. Sorry, I'm not yawning because of your story, I swear. It's because I'm not breathing enough. Author's note. Neither the priestess or zealot are stronger than one another on average. Seraphim was simply more powerful. Then he subdued both Rowena and Sylthia. No matter how good or bad a story is, reading something for so long can result in wanting to sleep. The voice restricts your breathing and thus forces you to yawn. I'm aware because I read books and felt that. Using so much mental energy imagining your story. The disappearance of Sylthia, the priestess of light. Sylthia herself vanished after the war, after she refused to participate in that she refused to participate in. Last found mourning Rowena, the witch she had buried. Some claim she took her own life to join her fallen love. Others believe she was taken by the gods, her soul torn apart for her betrayal. One thing clear to the modern scholars was that Sylvia was last seen mourning the death of Rowena before disappearing, never to be seen again, with only theories suggesting of her whereabouts. For years, it was believed that Rowena and Sylvia were just close, and that the priestess who accused Rowena of seducing was using seducing as a figure of speech. But then new evidences in the modern era were found. Historians, theologians, archaeologists, and magi have reignited their debate of what became of her. I love that use of the word seduce, and the fact that it could be used in both a lustful sexual term as well as seduce to the darkness in like a non-sexual term. So having the historians fight over which definition of the word is proper is so fucking beautiful. I love that. Tiny little pieces like that make everything. Deep within the overgrown ruins of what was once the Forest of Umbra, an artifact was unearthed. A delicate necklace woven of light stone and black crystal, fused together in a way modern spellcraft cannot replicate. It was confirmed to be the pendant Sylvia made for Rowena before their relationship was discovered. The pendant itself was a direct confirmation that Sylvia and Rowena were lovers. They weren't just close. They weren't just roommates, for the pendant symbolized love, which modern humans, gifted or not, still give to their lovers as a present. Gift or not, still give. Okay, yeah, I get it. I read it wrong. This birthed multiple theories, each compelling yet none conclusive. Theory 1. The Hermit in the Forest claimed Sylvia lived out her final days in solitude within the same forest Rowena's ashes were buried. Supporting evidence, the necklace was found in a small grove surrounded by faint residual light magic, long dormant but still pure, the kind unique to priestesses of light. Botanical mages identified unnatural growth patterns in the surrounding flora as if nourished by healing magic over centuries. Folklore from nearby villages speaks of a white shadow, a woman of light, seen tending the graves of fallen soldiers during moonless nights. Counterpoint. The magic residue could have come from another priestess or witch who passed through long after the war. The sightings could simply be a logic myth, a local myth. Theory 2. The Reconciliation. Claim. Cynthia begged the gods to revive or reunite with Rowena's spirit, binding their souls within the forest. Supporting evidence. The necklace's enchantments show signs of soul-binding glyphs, often used in funeral rites or resurrection attempts that sadly never succeed. The deep spectral readings reveal traces of both light and shadow mana intertwining, a phenomenon unique to Cynthia and Rowena Bond. Old temple records mention the priestess who visited the temple, isolated herself, and vanished into the forest, possibly referring to Cynthia. Counterpoint. Scholars note that the fusion of light and shadow mana could have occurred naturally over centuries due to excessive clashes between light and dark, and that there were many who vanished into the forest after the war, and the soul-binding glyphs because it never succeeded, and multiple gifts humans of all classes in history have attempted resurrection before. They could not be sure if the one they found was specifically Cynthia attempting such a spell. Theory 3. The Exile's Pilgrimage. Claim. Racked with guilt, Cynthia wandered the ruins of both the Holy Empire and the Umbral Covenant, seeking redemption until her death. Supporting evidence. Scattered accounts from nomadic archives mention a silent pilgrim in white, aiding plague victims and war orphans during the first age of rebirth. The necklace may have been left at Rowena's grave as a final offering before Cynthia departed on her pilgrimage. The enchantment patterns on the necklace resemble blessings of safe passage, a spell priestesses cast before long journeys. Counterpoint. The timeline of those records remains inconsistent. The silent pilgrim could have been another priestess entirely. Theory 4. The Martyr of Both Worlds. Claim. Cynthia was hunted by surviving witches as an act of vengeance for Rowena, not knowing the full story, and died in the forest where Rowena was buried. Supporting evidence. Archaeological digs nearby uncovered charred witch totems, suggesting a violent clash took place. The necklace may have fallen during the battle, becoming buried over centuries of regrowth. A fragment found in the forest, consistent with priestess make, was found only meters away. Counterpoint. The artifacts were too degraded to conclusively date. They could belong to any post-war skirmish. Rowena's sister, who Rena was the closest to, besides Cynthia, did not participate in hunting Cynthia down. It is possible that Rowena, prior to her death, told her sisters about her relationship with Cynthia and how close they were, suggesting that the sister assumed that Cynthia was forced to kill Rowena, although it is still speculative. Theory 5. The silent curse of the force of Rowena and Cynthia. Claim. Cynthia's grief and guilt seeped into the land itself. The forest where Cynthia was buried was now known as the Mourning Woods. Supporting evidence. I think that's pretty much all my voice can do with that. I tried. I think I lasted pretty good. We're just gonna go back to normal. Ugh. I don't want to kill my throat, you know? If it was the end of the stream, I'd go hard. But I mean, I still gotta talk for the rest of the stream. So, yeah, let's save that. Oh, okay. Forest where the necklace was found is the same region where light and dark mana clashed intensely, creating periodic magical storms that scholars call echo tempests. Seismic readings show a permanent mana distortion beneath the forest's roots, possibly originating from a ritual gone wrong or a priestess's dying spell. And I love how each theory is super unique and plays off of different integral parts about what found in history and discards other ones as random and coincidence. Pretty much exactly the way it is in real life. Seismic readings show a permanent mana distortion beneath the forest roots, possibly originating from a ritual gone wrong or a priestess's dying spell. Exactly, yeah. The necklace emits faint magical resonance when exposed to residual battlefield energy, suggesting that Cynthia's lingering essence reacts to conflict. Folklore from nearby villages calls the area the Morning Woods and speaks of an unseen presence that weeps whenever blood is spilled there. Counterpoint. The mana distortions could simply be remnants of ancient war spells left by both Dawnbringers and Duskborn. The weeping presence might be a natural mana echo, the phenomenon known to mimic sound and emotion. Although, the scariest part of this theory is that the weeping presence that was heard by a witness had heard natural mana echoes before, and claimed that this supposed mana echo was different from what he heard from his travels. This was more human-like and sounded like genuine grieving. Conclusion. Despite centuries of study, Cynthia's fate remains shrouded in twilight. Every theory, hermit, redeemer, martyr, or saint, carries a piece of truth, yet none can claim certainty. The only undeniable fact is that she vanished where her beloved once perished. And when the necklace was unearthed, it was found clasped, not broken, as if placed gently into the earth by loving hands. The Great Flood. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting into it. Now we're getting into more of the, like, real world seeping in. See how it goes. The Great Flood. The four gods beheld the carnage before their thrones. The elusive fairy spoke. If corruption has taken root in all, then let the waters cleanse what fire and faith could not. The cosmic rainbow wept at the thought, yet in the end, even she could not defy the storm. So the heavens rumbled, the seas grew restless, and omens and miracles filled the world. Those wise enough to listen began to prepare. Among them stood a zealot, Noah, guided by divine dream, and his wife, Nama, a devoted priestess of the light. Together they built an ark so vast it stretched across nations, a sanctuary for the worthy, an homage to mermaids. But Nama's heart hardened. Dude, this music is unironically hyping up my story. Perfect synchronicity. Oh, yep. It was meant to be, right? With great taste in music. I love the violin, what can I say? It's mainly the violin. I absolutely fucking love the violin. It's my favorite instrument. Hands down. Yet pity lingered in the hearts of some, Seraphiel and Orion, along with some, defied the astral dominion and convinced many merciful humans and gifted they helped carve secret passageways into the Ark, sheltering those they could. But unfortunately, their mercy was discovered, which sparked a small civil war within the Ark on both sides, who followed the order of Noah and Nama and the side helping the Duskborn. And it's like, I like I like metal. So what's better than combining metal and a violin? It's like the ultimate contradiction, right? I love it. It makes amazing sound. Same with piano. You add the piano and you add violin into like a metal band and you've got fucking magic. But unfortunately, their mercy was discovered, which sparked a small civil war within the Ark on both sides, who followed the order of Noah and Nama, and the side helping the Duskborn. It's true, violin is associated with peace and serenity, and metal is like that loud kid, both matched together, expected it to be in conflict. Harmonized, but syncing well. Yeah, it's the clash, right? It makes it's like the negative and the positive coming together to annihilate each other. It kind of nullifies the effect. And that's what makes it so strong. And then you can have those emotional moments in with the heavy metal, right? And then you get the... But unfortunately, their mercy was discovered, which sparked a civil war. We already read that. The hidden were dragged into the light and burned, their screams rising with the rain. Valen, the acolyte who slew Sephorian, bought time and brought as many opposers to the Duskborn down with him in his final breath, and a few remaining survivors sacrificed themselves to protect the Duskborn, and with the help of the Seraphel, the Orion. What happens is that the European tradition forms are basically the same in metal. Yeah. That's true, Raymond. They hit the same spectrum, right? It's just a different scale. Well, it definitely adds depth, in my opinion. And you know what's crazy about that, Ninja? You know what's the craziest thing about that, Ninja? This is AI generated. Entire channel is all AI generated. It is a very, very useful tool. I'm talking about the music. Not your story. The music. 100% AI generated. AI music. What? Yep. Here, I'll put the channel in and you can check it out. There's tons of them. This one's really good though. This one's like mainly like classical metal. That's literally what it is. It's like take violins, pianos, cellos, mix them with metal music. That is the essence of this this channel. It's fucking sick. Is the off-brand Lord of the Rings almost done? Hybrid? Yeah, well, we're gonna be reading it pretty fast now that I'm reading it normally, except now we're getting distracted, but you know, it is what it is. It's almost done. We're getting there. The hidden were dragged into the light and burned, their screams rising with the rain. Valen and the acolyte who slew Sephirian bought time, brought as many opposers of the Duskborn down with him in his final breath, and the few remaining survivors sacrificed themselves to protect the Duskborn, and with the help of the Seraphiel and Orion, the remainders escaped, buried deep within the Ark's bowels. Only having each other for comfort, with Seraphiel shielding them from discovery, and her brother Orion being the lookout as the scavenger for food and water. For 150 days the storm devoured the world. When the rain ceased and the Ark grounded upon new shores, the survivors emerged, believing the umbral covenant drowned and forgotten. But beneath the ashes of that new dawn, in caverns untouched by light, a few of the Duskborn still breathed and replenished over time. They waited, with grief and vengeance in their hearts and patience sharper than any blade, and the dark bearer who would spark another war was Vera, the sister of Rowena. The Sundering War. After Rowena's death, Vera saw that the others refused to see, that the light had become twisted. The light claimed holiness, yet burned the innocent. Vera had witnessed this corruption firsthand. When the flood came, she and Kaler, both dark wielders, were saved by the mercy of a sage with a few stargazers who hid them aboard the ark. There she saw how Noah and Namin, the paragons of light, preached salvation while condemning anyone, even humans with gifted or not, as long as they sympathized with the Duskborn. They were deemed as not chosen by their god and were incinerated. She watched the Darkborn who were found burned one by one. Their screams echoed in the hollow hulls of the Ark, with the star couple constantly guiding them away into the night, into a new hideout. Kaler had held her as she wept, and swore that one day the light would answer for its sins. Years passed and the world rebuilt itself, but the light never changed. The orders grew in arrogance, claiming dominance over what remained of creation. Priestesses and zealots took cities as sanctuaries, forcing others to kneel or perish. Even the Starbinders and the rest of the gifted humans, once neutral, turned silent. But Dad, damn ads! Damn ads be damn ads, I'll damn those damn dares ads go damn dares. We're going down, we're taking down the ads, we're taking down the ads. Do you wanna go where we're taking down the ads? Do you want to take down ads? I wanna take down as many ads as I can. You're an ad, I'm an ad. Next thing you know, we're all just ads. Why are you an ad? Because you watched an ad. When you watch it, you become it. Now you're an ad. Don't feel bad to be an ad. It's okay, 'cause everyone eventually gets the slap. Now here's some not free money, go buy what you want. Oh hey, what do you say? Now you gotta pay. Wait, what? You gave me free money. Oh, I never said it was free. Well, you better go watch some ads. Buy some more products. And hope for the best. 'Cause you'll never get none from ads. Yay, ads! Ads are your savior. They'll save your ass. Don't worry about the damn ads, 'cause you're sus. I don't know. Guys, I swear, just because I'm a little bit sus doesn't mean I'm sus at all, okay? Fuck. Well, it's just not my day, guys. Apparently it's really not my day. Damn, I just had to say that. I just had to fucking say that. Yeah, it's not much. Just a tiny bit of water on my keyboard. Okay. Once neutral, turned silent, not wanting any conflict with the Dawnbreakers. Is there water on my mouse, too? So the thing was open, so when I went to flip it, it basically, like, flung water. But not very much. Okay, here we go. It was no longer just for her sister that she wanted to fight for. It was for her people. She fought to prove that the light's purity was an illusion. If Noah and Nama, the holiest of all, could fall, then perhaps the world could finally open its eyes. Her duel was never just revenge. It was a declaration. If they believe that the Grand Celestial has their back, then I shall have faith that the Void is guiding my people. She sought to end the tyranny of faith itself, believing that the world could never be whole while the light remained in tyrannical power, deeming any dark wielder and their sympathizers as targets to be purged. Her love for Kaler anchored her, yet even he feared the fire in her heart. He followed her not out of wrath but devotion, believing that if anyone could tear down the tyrant radiance, it was Vera. When they stood before Noah and Nama, Vera did not cry revenge. She said simply, "This is not retribution, this is a correction." Began with a challenge. Vera and her devoted acolyte, bound by both love and fury, called upon Noah and Nama, the paragons of light, to a duel before the eyes of the gods and men. What followed was no mere battle, but a week-long storm of ruin. The skies themselves wept blood-red rain as thunder and sorcery tore the heavens apart. Seas boiled, forests withered, and the mountains groaned beneath the weight of their conflict. For 7 days and nights, neither side yielded. A battle so equal that it could end either way, even if a draw was not far-fetched. Witch's toxin spread across the air, while Nama's holy flames burned through the horizon. Noah's prayers split the ground asunder, yet the acolyte's shadow answered with chains of darkness and dragged the light back down to earth. The end came suddenly, a flash of divine symmetry. Kaler's void light pierced Noah's chest, just as Noah's radiant flame impaled Kaler through the heart. The two men fell together, light entwined with darkness, locked in the stillness of death, and then the world stopped. Nama, I would say you this is kind of overused. I would choose something else for this to happen. Like, what, like have one being, like, how do you say, it's like, literally beaten to death. He's got, like, fucking holes in him, and it's like, it's clear that he's gonna lose. That he uses, like, his ultimate move, kills the enemy, and then dies anyway. I think that would be more fitting here. Because the other one was impactful, this one feels like recycling. Yeah, no worries. Nama and Vera froze. Both ran to their beloved, neither seeing the enemy nor war, only loss. Kaler, half buried in shadow, reached for Vera's trembling hand. "It's all right," he whispered, his breath faint but tender. "You always hated endings, but perhaps this one is kind." As his eyes dimmed, Veyra remembered stormy nights in the Ark when Kaler would hold her through the cold, whispering stories to drown out the sound of her dying people. He smiled at her one last time, and then the shadows stilled. Nama fell to her knees beside Noah, his light fading to ash. He smiled even as light escaped his lips. It's strange, he murmured, how peace feels the same, even at the end. Nama clutched him close, tears dissolving into light. In her mind flickered memories of quiet mornings before the First War, when they would watch the sun rise over the world, still innocent. When Noah's final breath faded, Nama's cry split the heavens. Like, if this is actually the full 30 pages, Ninja, maybe we should save this for, like, tomorrow. Because, like, how many words is this? It's like 10,000 words. Okay, because I'm like, because if that's the case, we're only 2/3 of the way through. Which means there's still another hour to read. Right? That's just reading. Is just reading is an hour. That's not being interrupted. Let's see, Ninja. That's not really how I want to do it, right? But that's why I kind of wanted to split this into like kind of shorter stories, so we kind of give everyone a chance, and then we kind of spread it across, right? So let's finish this story, and then we'll finish the rest of the pages tomorrow, right? Because I don't want people to feel like they can't engage with the stream because they're waiting for their turn to read, because it's going to take 3 hours to read someone's work. I kind of want it to be like a cap of an hour of reading, right? And then, including interruptions, then it will move into 2 or 3 or 4 hours. But this is like straight up 2.5 hours of just straight reading. That's why it's like, it's okay to break it into smaller reading sessions and treat each one as, because each one of these technically is like its own short story, right? And we've read like 10 of them already. So it's not a criticism in your work, it's just like, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe half of this is the origin story, the other half of this is the other chapters. But if all 30 of these pages are just the origin story, yeah. So we'll finish this, and then we'll do TLBG's story. That way it's like, you know, we're not spending an insane amount of time on this. Because it did take, to be fair, it did take a little bit longer to read because of the voice, but still, right? Again, it's like I don't want people to feel like they can't talk and engage because it's going to delay their own reading. I want people to feel like they can engage, and it's not like, you know, it's like, oh, it's wait 20 minutes, it's not wait 2 hours. Sometimes it's wait 2 hours, though. Let's be fair. But that's if you're engaging, right? For a time, both women buried their dead. One in a valley of crystal light, the other beneath a shroud of black flame. Then they turned to face one another again. No words, no forgiveness, only the unspoken question. Why must it be us who remain? They charged. Darkness met radiance. Magic tore the air apart. Their fists, filled with divine energy, struck with force of collapsing stars. Each blow shattered entire planets. The shockwave spread through moons, planets, stars, suns, entire solar systems. A pulse of raw existence that races still through the cosmos. Entire civilizations on distant worlds felt it and trembled, etching the omen into their myths as the warning of an apocalypse. Before you move on to the next story, can you at least tell me how you feel about the story? And I at least succeeded in my goal that you end up liking it more than the last read. Yeah, Ninja, it's just the problem is now I don't feel like I'm beta reading, I feel like I'm just rushing through the story. right? And that's not good. TLBG is next. For days, neither yielded. Light burned until the skies bled white, and darkness rose until stars went blind. Nama fought with divine precision, every strike of her light a hymn, every flame a prayer. Oh shoot, wait. I'm just saying, Ninja, I'm keeping a cognitive stance on it, but that's what I feel like I'm doing, and I'm having to catch myself and be like, wait, what did you think of that? I think you should move on to the next story if you're in a situation that you feel like you're, like, rushing. That's why I'm cognizant of it, Ninja. To make sure that I don't. I think it's best to finish Sundering War. That way you're refreshed. Well, it's like, it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's like, again, it's like it's a bunch of different little stories. I think it's best to finish Thundering War and the next chapters tomorrow. I don't feel like we should just stop, like, unless, like, wait. How long, like, how much longer is, like, I feel like we're only, like, 500 words from finishing the story. If that. Yeah, I'm almost done, so let's just finish it. But like I said, like, the only thing that I have to say about the Sundering War is changing that one thing. Think I'm calling it time. Sleepy cold meds and peace out for the night. I'll try to hop on earlier tomorrow. Yeah, no worries, cowgirl. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. Always appreciate it. You get yourself feeling better so you come back nice and strong. Keep those ideas that you had when you were in Cuckoo Land. Inspiration. Have a good night. For days, neither yielded. Light burned until the skies bled white, and darkness rose until the stars went blind. Like, your description and shit like that is fucking amazing, Ninja. Nama fought with divine precision, every strike of her light a hymn, every flame a prayer. Vera met her with feral grace, her shadows flowing like silk around each beam of light, twisting them back toward their source. Their battle was not chaos, it was a synchronicity, a symphony of ruin played by two hearts that once knew gentleness. By the 9th day, the heavens were torn apart. Nama's wings burned brighter with every wound, her body slowly transfiguring into pure radiance. Vera's skin cracked like obsidian, each fracture leaking darkness that hissed against the holy air. The world beneath them screamed. It could no longer tell which of the two it should call savior and which it should call monster. When both their magic waned, the two women stood breathless, bodies trembling, light and shadow flickering like dying candles. They could have stopped then. They could have turned away, but pride and love would not allow it. Again, it's like, it feels like the same battle is being fought, and if that's your intention, that's cool. But if it's not, it's really similar. So I'd say emphasize the cycle more. Or maybe change up the battle just a little bit. Because all the battles have seemed to be kind of the same. And if that's your goal, state that. And say, you know, something about cycles, something about the endless battle between light and dark, and how no matter what, you can't get away from it. It always winds up consuming you and becoming like the apocalypse. Or something like that. And then every time you show like the same kind of ending of the world event, then it's like every time it's super impactful, so the slight differences in the battle are meaningful versus it feeling like it's the same battle but not meaning to be the same battle. Because it definitely, the impact of having... You trying to swagger jack me, Scott? I don't know what swagger jack means, Fish. Did I miss one of your comments? And who next? No, I already answered who was next. Liar! Phony! You're a phony! Fraud and a phony! I know I am. Don't tell anyone. I'll give you $5 to not tell anyone. Swagger Jack. Copying me, baby. I have no idea. They charged once more, abandoning spells. Ignore that, BB. Yeah, sure thing, baby. Phone typing. Oh, I know. I know, fish. Don't worry. It's like a written, Freudian slip. Said something about light versus dark? New title on Royal Road. Lamplighters Academy. Seriously? You need an academy to teach people how to climb a ladder and light a street lamp from the lamp you're carrying. They have to be professional about it. Look at, like, the Royal Guards in, like, England and, like, shit like that, right? Like, they got a literal fucking tradition to their shit. RCMP is kind of the same way. No, don't teach people to copy my stuff. Get your own swag. Royal Guards need training. Lamplighters, though. Etiquette. I meant etiquette. Simply etiquette, Sean. You would just train them in etiquette. How to act professional and not make the company look bad. It's all about the company. When both their magic waned, the two women stood breathless, bodies trembling, light and shadow flickering like dying candles. They could have stopped then. They could have turned away, but pride and love would not allow it. They charged once more, abandoning spells, striking with bare fists. Each punch carried the weight of an age. Grief, devotion, vengeance. Their blows cracked continents. The ocean split as shockwaves circled the planet. The air itself wept with fire. At last they grappled, their foreheads pressed together, screaming not in hatred but in sorrow. Nama, radiant and fading, whispered, "Light will always rise again." Vera, eyes black as the void, answered softly, "So will the dark." And then, in a single motion, Nama's palm flared with divine light, searing through Vea's chest. But Vera did not recoil. Instead, she pulled Nama closer, burning Vera in the process. Her other hand weaving a final sigil against the priestess's back. With her last breath, Vera whispered an incantation, spell that created an explosion which clashed with Nama's divine light. The explosion was silent. The world simply blinked, and where two figures once stood, only one remained. When the dust settled, Vera knelt over Nama's fading form. Her victory came not from strength, but from refusal to die first. Nama smiled faintly, her hand reaching to touch Vera's cheek, as if to thank her. That she can now join Noah in death, light and shadow intertwining. The witch whispered, "It had to be done." Vera rose, barely standing. Her mana waned, her body ruined, but her eyes still burned. She gazed at the horizon, at the crimson sky their battle had torn apart, and whispered Kaler's name. The silence that followed was heavier than any roar of war. When at last silence fell, drenched not in victory, but in the ashes of her own wrath, she lifted the body of Nama, lifeless and pale as stone, and carried her across the wasteland. Before the citadel of the Order of Light, she cast the corpse at the gates before the witch succumbed to the fatal wounds she endured from her fight with Nama. She spent her last dying breath thinking about her sister and Kaler, and smiled for the last time as she fades consciousness, lifeless. The Dawnbringers carried the corpse of Nama to give it a proper burial, their faces calm but their eyes hollow. It was not triumph they sought, only vengeance. The act shattering what little peace the world had left. The three classes, each blaming the others, unleashed their wrath upon the earth once more. Cities, once radiant with magic, became craters of light, shadow, and starlight. Rivers ran red, forests burned into ash, and the screams of the dying carved themselves into memory. They wielded their gifts between mortal reason, tearing the heavens asunder, twisting mana into storms that devoured the innocent and the guilty alike. The world itself trembled beneath their pride. Now, how is the world gonna get fixed? That's what I want to know. They wielded their gifts beyond mortal reason, tearing the heavens asunder, twisting mana into storms that devoured the innocent and the guilty alike. The world itself trembled beneath their pride. They have pushed their power to heights undreamed, leaving the rest of the gifted far behind. The Dawnbringers raised their hands to the heavens and called down armies of exploding spears, each impact erasing battalions of Duskborn and Starbinders in blinding radiant yellow fire. Their flames of purity burned not just flesh but memory, leaving nothing but bones, too scarred to decay. The Dustborn, in turn, answered with pestilence. They unleashed clouds of plague that devoured magic itself, poisoning an army of Dawnbringers and Starbinders. Their cursed vampiric rites drained life from the fallen to fuel their endless vengeance. While valleys rotted in hours, the air became poisonous, the rain black. The Starbinders opened the skies. They summoned the stars and fell in reply. Shooting stars fell like divine artillery, smashing mountains, vaporizing citadels, crushing a flock of the Duskborn and Dawnbringers, leaving behind scars that glowed for centuries. Their waltz of the stellar choir became a massacre of beauty, ribbons of astral light that carved through armies in shimmering arcs of death. When at last the fires dimmed, the world was reduced to ruins and ghosts. The surviving classes, broken, weary, and bitter, retreated into isolation. The light-bearers withdrew to sanctified citadels bathed in undying light. The seekers of the void vanished into the mists of blackened forests and hollow moons. The star followers fled the mountain peaks where the stars and constellations could still be seen through the smoke. Thus ended the Sundering War, not with triumph, but exhaustion. The struggle spanned ages, and though peace eventually returned, the scars endured. The four classes withdrew to separate lands, swearing bloodshed if ever they crossed paths again. Since you're next, I just want to say I'm so sorry the story I wrote was so long and I insisted to read the lore, not accounting for how long it would take. I am so sorry. That's okay, Ninja. I just didn't, I figured we would be done by, here. Right? That's why I was like, well, if we split it into 3 and we had stopped at the end of Rowena, or even, before this, But that's okay, it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. We'll finish the rest of it tomorrow. We got an ad coming up here in a couple of minutes, though. Yeah, I got so excited that I was not considering what others would feel. So sorry, guys. That's okay. That was so long. It was only 2.5 hours. We spent 4 hours on D-Knots. Just the problem with that is that was 3 hours of banter with the stream and the chat and an hour of reading. Right? And yeah, all I can say is some things seem similar, so make the story seem like it's supposed to be similar. Right? So it's, make it a cyclical thing of light versus darkness. How they always come to head. It builds up small, no matter what side is perceived as good or evil, both sides will always emerge and fight. As a man, as a person. Like, is it at least better than the previous revision? It's way better, Ninja. Way more in-depth. It brings you way more into the characters. It's got a lot more world-building aspects to it. That's basically what matters. Score? For what it is, it's an 8.5. For a story, each individual story is like between a 6 and an 8. And it would sound odd that even though it was between a 6 and an 8, the total value is 8.5. But that's like in the context of it being like a lore-y backstory of world building with a bunch of little short stories inside of it. So even if there's a couple of weaker stories, and overall, all of the stories add together enough to build up to that. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't say there's anything bad. It's just sheer up the similarities or make the similarities important. For sure, character Bob. Doop boop 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 boop. Is TLBG still here? I know we're in ads. My bad. I'll be able to make up for it by having my story to be around last place tomorrow or the next day or after today. Not just for TLBG, but for the others who waited for their story read. Yeah, no worries, Ninja. Don't feel bad about it. I'm the one who's reading it. Right? It's my decision. I did ask. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to split these into different ones and we're going to read it tomorrow. I was just like, well, what do you think about it? You know? So that's my decision, so don't, and then it was my decision at the end to stop.